I see a lot of good in the future, but I think it's going to be rocky. And I think it's going to be rocky on several notions. Not just what I was just talking about, but Trump has even warned, things are going to get a little bit, hard for a while. There's no way around that. And I've been saying this for a long time, over a decade, that if we ever do what's right in this country to truly right this ship, it's going to take sacrifice. There's no way around that. Folks, we can go on Amazon right now and buy one hell of a TV for a fairly good price. And that's why you've got so many people with nice TVs in every room of their house. I'm sitting here with a 43-inch 4K TV that I'm using as one of my monitors, two 24-inch monitors underneath of it, another 24-inch monitor just right over there with a camera I gotta go smack the hell out of, with 6 cameras that you can see. I mean, if it were back in, I don't know, the 80s, the 70s, if we had this type of technology, but at the same price rate that it was back then, you know how much it would cost to have all this? Because it wasn't cheap stuff from China. It was stuff made right here in the United States of America, where the standard of living was much higher. The expectations of what you could do with the dollar was much higher. People had less. People had less. Much less. So yeah, things are going to get tough. People are going to have to be more fiscally conservative in their own lives until we can right this ship. It's going to take a little bit. There will be a transition time. There's no way around that. We got addicted to cheap goods from China, but in the process, we sold ourselves out. So yeah, there are going to be some rough spots. It is going to get tight, even more so than right now. But I can see beyond that, and I can understand why it is that period is going to happen, and I can see what the intent is of this nation on the other side of that rough patch. And as long as we can continue on that journey and complete that journey, we are heading for another golden age. But it's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to take some trimming down, even in our personal lives, to be able to get there. I have accepted that a long time ago. I was worrying and telling other people about that a long time ago. Like I say, over a decade ago. Because I'd seen the writing on the wall. I understood this stuff and seen it back then. I live in a small town. It's not super, super small. We've had some incredible industry here in this town. We've actually been the location of the founding of a lot of businesses. Pet Milk Company, if anybody's familiar with Pet Milk, that was founded right here. Yeagle Motor. You probably don't realize it, but you probably, especially those that are my age or so, have had things or been around things that had Yeagle motors in it without even knowing. A lot of times, like the fans and stuff that they would have in machines and stuff, they were Yeagle motors. To this day, some of the fans like that you have in your bathroom over your shower, the vent fans, there's a fair amount of those that are either from Yeagle motor or they're the same design. They're the Yeagle design. That started here, right in this town. We've got a company called Highland Supply Corporation. That's in the old Pet Milk building. I worked there when I was still in high school, senior in high school, and working full-time as a color machine operator when I was a senior in high school. If you've ever gone into if you've ever gone into a gas station, convenience store, and you see the single rows on the counter and the big glass jar or whatever it's in, that's wrapped in that plastic sheeting, that was invented and produced right here. Don Waiter has an international patent on that. If you go around Christmas time into Walmart or anywhere else, and this is the stuff I made, it was called polyfoil, and you see the potted plant sitting there, and it's got that, it's foil on one side and it's plastic on the other. A lot of times on the foil side it'll be red, and on the plastic side it'll be green. hunter green to be exact. That's what I made as a senior in high school. I ran that machine. They cut those in squares. They stamp them with a press into what they call hats that fit into a pot for a potted plant. That was invented and produced right here in Highland, Illinois. We were the producers, same company, Highland Supply Corporation, of 80% of the world's Easter grass. Right here, Highland, Illinois. So to say that we have been an industrial town is an understatement. But it didn't take long for these companies to get the hell out of Dodge. Yago went down to Mexico. We had a company called Artex. They make tablecloths and stuff like that. They booked out of town. I think they went to another country. All these industries left because the politicians made it so easy for them to do so. And we got to fix that. And it takes a while to get that industry back to the United States and up and moving and shaking. Takes a while. It's not an overnight thing. And that's what Trump's intention is with the tariffs and all of this stuff, is to get those businesses back here. We either deal with the sacrifice and build something great, or we forever hand it to somebody else. We've got two roads we can go down. We're going to wind up working our asses off either way to be able to do it. If we all become government slaves because there are no real jobs and so everybody has to work for the government, communism, I guarantee you we'll be working our asses off. Or if we all go and work in a production line or whatever it has to do, work at the new factory that's in town, we're still going to be working our asses off. Hopefully for a decent paycheck. I will say this about Yago Motors. They were bullshit to work for. And in fact, I think one of the biggest reasons they went to Mexico is because they got tired of the labor laws in the United States. I think they got in trouble a little bit, and so they got out of the country. I mean, might as well anyway, because they had a ton of people from Mexico working there, here in town. So, why not give them a shorter route to work? Hang on, kiddo itching again. But yeah, I mean, it's going to take sacrifice. And there's a lot of people that's holding that against this new administration and this new plan. It's crazy. It truly is. Hang on. Oh gosh. Cage, what are you referring to when you're asking if it was during the 80s and 90s? Let me know what you were referring to and I'll answer your question. Sorry, I jabber, so let's see. Yeah, you got it right, Steve. Exactly it. We can either work digging our way out of this or work digging to hell. It can't get much worse than it is now. Correct. Absolutely correct. Oh, okay. Other people posting in the group political stuff. And you know what? I'm about to remove the rule because I had put a rule during the campaign season that no political posts. And the reason why is because it got stupid. So when they moved elsewhere, that would have been early 90s. It would have been around the early 90s. Somewhere I would say between 90 and definitely between 90 and 95. Yep. And some of the businesses had left prior to that. Artex, I think, was one of the first ones to bolt. There was a lot of industry here. Now much of the stuff that Highland Supply did, I think is being done other places. It's kind of crazy. Because even it, as far as I know locally, has really been downsized. So I don't even know what all they're doing anymore. That was the damnedest thing. They had a union. I always thought this was illegal, but they had a union, and the president of the union was the owner of the company, and I always thought that was illegal. When I worked there, this is the truth, I had to sign a waiver before I started, and the reason why is because, and it is what it is. The machines, the coloring machines, you had to watch them. If they were running, somebody physically had to be there watching them. Because if you would have a tear out in a matter of seconds, it became a mess. Literally in a matter of seconds. The moment that you saw an issue, you had to slam that power button and shut that machine down. And here's the crazy part. You had seconds to keep it shut down. Because what would happen is the knurl that put the ink on, in my case, the foil, would stain in just the blink. I mean, it didn't take no time that knurl would stain. And you have to, my machine on average, I still remember this, 120 feet per minute. That's how fast my machine ran, 120 feet per minute. And when you've got a knurl, by the way, it was a big steel, round steel like tube, and on it, sometimes it would have a design, but most of the time it was just like a satin type of finish. And the knurl would pick up the ink, and when it went across the foil, it would just leave a real light film of ink. Well, at 120 feet per minute, if you had a tear out and that foil started wrapping around that knurl or any of the other rollers, again, you had a mess within seconds. So being able to go and smoke a quick cigarette, being able to go and eat a sandwich, you didn't have that kind of time. And you couldn't just shut the machine down. So I had to sign a waiver when I started working there that I waived my right to a lunch break. So again, senior in high school, I was working full-time, 3 to 11, at Highland Supply Corporation, and no break, no lunch. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. Once in a while, we would look at the person that was operating the machine next to us and be like, we're going to sneak out back and have a cigarette, you know? And we did that. Or if you had to go to the bathroom, because people got to pee, if you had to go to the bathroom, that's what you did. You got a hold of the person running the machine next to you and said, hey, I got to go run to the restroom, keep an eye on my machine. But you're only supposed to go there, get done with your business, and be right back. We didn't get 15-minute breaks. We didn't get a half an hour lunch. But yeah, these youngsters today talk about how hard they have it, and I think about working. And I was working overtime. I was working 5 days a week, 8-hour days. I was working 6 days, 6 days a week, 48 hours a week, and going to school, high school, full time. So these youngsters talk about how hard, and I'm not, this isn't I had to walk 20 miles to school uphill both ways in 10 feet of snow story. It is what it is, You just don't see that kind of motivation these days. You just don't see it. I would imagine the world we're headed to where you actually have to do something, it's going to look scary to some of them. The fact that Trump is doing away with all this federal workers working from home thing, I would imagine that looks scary to some, especially those that are doing that. But these are the taxpayer dollars that are going to pay these folks. I don't know about you, but I had to work my ass off for the things I have. And I certainly don't expect that my tax dollars should go to somebody who feels entitled in a way that they shouldn't have to. Just doesn't seem right.